90s, 80s, 90s,
True and Travis,
80s,
True and
90s,
Travis, True and Travis,
80s, 90s,
True and Travis,
80s,
Overdue
90s,
Homework
90s,
Podcast, yeah.
True and Travis,
You're gonna love listening to this thing.
90s, 80s, 90s, 80s, 90s,
I
80s,
love
90s,
listening to Drew and Trav talk about the movies and the video games. I really like to listen to them talk about the TV shows. Oh yes, I do. This is the greatest podcast in the whole universe. You better listen now.
Welcome to the show. I'm joined by Trav. I'm Drew.
And I'm Trav.
This is the Overdue Homework Podcast. As always, we are here to talk about 80s and 90s media. How are you doing, Trav?
Pretty darn good, Drew. I'm excited to get into this podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. The weather is a-changing. The days are getting shorter. The nights are getting colder.
Yeah. 80-some degrees 2 days ago, and now it's freezing.
That's the way she goes, though. That's the way she goes.
Yep.
But definitely ready for fall. I enjoy fall quite a bit. So since Ninja Turtles came out in 1990, let's talk about the top grossing movies of 1990, thanks to boxofficemojo.com.
Let's do it.
Number one was Ghost. You're a fan, right?
Big fan. Big Ghost fan.
Would you rather be Demi Moore or Patrick Swayze in the pottery clay scene? Which one would you rather
I have
be?
never seen Ghost.
Oh, you know the famous scene where Patrick Swayze is sitting around Demi Moore and that I can't remember what the song. It's very famous, and they're like making the clay pot. It's been parodied many, many times, and he's a ghost. That's the whole thing. Is Swayze's dead?
Oh, okay.
So he's a ghost. And
the only
he's in
thing
love
I
with
know
Demi Moore.
about that is here's a Friends-related thing: is Phoebe cuts Monica's hair in an episode, and it looks horrible. And then she says she wanted it like Demi Moore, and Phoebe goes, "Yeah, that's how he wears it." And she cut it like Dudley Moore.
Oh, my
and then
gosh.
she says Demi Moore. She's the actress, and one of the movies she lists is Ghost. That
That's
she's
funny.
In. So I've never seen it. But I
Well,
know
then I'm
people-
still going to pose the question to you without you having seen the movie whatsoever. Would you rather have Patrick Swayze caressing you, or would you rather be doing the caressing?
I think I'd rather be doing the caressing.
Either way, it's win-win. So
Either way, I mean,
win-win.
it is a win-win.
Win-win. But that movie made just over $205 million that year. Pretty Woman is number 2. That's a great
Pretty
movie.
Woman.
I'd really enjoy doing that on the show, on the podcast sometime. Home Alone at number 3, right? It's Foreshadowing. $143 million. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is number 4.
That's pretty sick. That's
Yes.
actually, I feel like the highest one of these has been when we're doing these little lists.
I would agree.
I always think it's down further than it should be, but I like that. In
Yes.
the top 5.
That goes to show you that this was a big movie in 1990. Big
Oh, yeah.
deal. Big deal. $135 million. The Hunt for Red October. Have you ever seen it?
Nope.
Give me your
heard
best.
of it.
Give me your best Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
I don't know how often Sean Connery says his own name, but hey,
I'm Sean Connery.
Total Recall.
I'll take famous T's for 400.
Oh, Trebek, you Canadian ponce. So that's really Daryl Hammond doing.
Right.
Yeah, but whatever. Total Recall, number 6. That's going to be a great movie. It's an Arnold, so we're going to get to that one.
Oh, yeah.
$119 million. Die Hard 2. Die Harder, right? That's what it should have been. It's
Yep.
number 7. Dick Tracy, number 9. Have you ever seen Dick Tracy?
Nope.
It's a really good one. We should do that. We should do that one too. What is it? BTF squared? BTF cubed?
Yeah.
Back to the Future 3.
Yep.
$87 million at number 10.
I just saw those two got back together for San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, and man, more power to Michael J. Fox dealing with the Parkinson's that he's had for decades now, and
Crazy.
he can still actually walk around.
Mhm.
Didn't he have something like deep brain stimulus or something where
I'm
they
not
like
sure.
they put like electrodes deep into his brain and like stimulated parts of it? Yeah, I don't know.
Yikes.
Experimental, I'm sure. Number 12, Days of Thunder. I've said it before, and I want to get to that one on this
Oh, yeah.
podcast.
Never seen it, but I do own it now. When I got that
Oh,
lot
yes,
of movies,
yes,
I
yes,
thought,
yes,
oh,
yes.
nice.
$82 million. Number 18, Problem Child. That was a movie from my youth that I remember
I've
quite a bit.
never heard of that.
Never heard of Problem Child?
Nope.
Okay, so I can't think of the guy's name. The poor dude died maybe a decade, maybe even longer ago now. He was on Three's Company, the dude from Three's Company. The Three's Company 2. Do. Oh, man, I don't normally do this, but we're going to pause. John Ritter. Okay, John Ritter was the dad in Problem Child, and the kid's like really, really bad. And I remember there's a scene where they're barfing at the carnival, and Problem Child was a movie that we watched as a family. And then number 40. I just wanted to talk about this one because I love the man, but Kindergarten Cop, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's not a tumor. Dominic, get down.
Oh, my
Get
God.
down, Dominic, now.
I can't wait to get to another Arnold movie.
That's where I like...
You'll have to do the entire notes in the Arnold.
I cut my impression chops on that movie. Yeah, that's pretty exciting stuff. I can't wait to get to a multitude of those movies. And 1990's got a lot of great flicks in it. So we'll probably get back to this year once again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. With that, are you ready to get over to our homework review?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, let's do it. Let's get on over to that homework review.
Cowabunga, dude.
Cowabunga, dudes. So TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's almost impossible to say that without singing the song.
Yeah.
Right.
It's getting sung in my head as we speak.
March 30th, 1990, directed by Steve Barron. Screenplay by Todd W. Langen and Bobby Herbeck. I wonder if he's related to Kent Herbeck. Doubt it. Story by Bobby Herbeck, based on characters by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Live action with Judith Hogue as April O'Neil. Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock were considered for the role.
Chase Meridian.
Yeah, right? That would have been
cool.
That would have been cool. That would have been really
Not
good.
that I actually didn't have a problem with the actress that
No.
plays April at all.
No, she was not asked, though, to return for the sequels. She was apparently really unhappy with the production and complained, like, the whole time.
Oh, sure.
So they were like,
yeah.
Elias Cotes, sorry, Elias, as Casey Jones. Christian Slater, Johnny Depp, and Keanu Reeves were all considered for that role.
Oh my God. If Keanu Reeves would have gone, that would have been so sick. Again, not that I had a problem with Elias Cotes, but
yeah.
Oh man.
I think
Keanu Reeves?
Christian Slater seems like the obvious 1990 choice, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Keanu Reeves would have been killer in that for sure.
Yeah.
James Saito as Oroku Saki as the Shredder, and Sam Rockwell as the head thug.
Nice.
Yeah, he's an unmasked gang member. So Sam Rockwell, gotta love that. He looks super, super young. Bet you he was 20, 21 or something like that. So that's pretty dang cool. The voice cast, of course, is Brian Tochi as Leonardo, Josh Pius as Raphael, Corey Feldman as Donatello, and you said Corey Feldman's voice sticks out like a sore thumb now, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I still associate him with Donatello's voice.
Yeah, 100%. Robbie Rist as Michelangelo, Kevin Clash as Splinter, David McCarran as the Shredder, and Michael McConaughey as Master Tetsu. Let's talk about these giant puppets that were on the screen for an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
So of course, who else would have made them besides Jim Henson, right?
Obviously.
Henson actually called it some of his most elaborate work he's ever done. He was disappointed in the film, though. It was too violent for him.
Really?
I mean, he was a hardcore hippie tree hugger guy, but man, the movie's not even that violent.
It's really not. Is there any blood at all?
None. Zero.
Yeah,
Not
zero
a
blood.
speck. They hardly even use their weapons the way they're supposed to be.
Right.
But unfortunately, Henson died shortly after the movie was released. So R.I.P. Jim Henson. You've been dead for a long time, and
Long time.
I think the world would have benefited from your loving ways, I think.
Oh yeah.
Of course, David Foreman as Leonardo was the in-suit performer, and all of the in-suit performers had on-screen cameos. So he was on screen as a gang member. I'm not quite sure which gang member it exactly was, but Leif Tilden as Donatello, he was on screen as a messenger of the foot, so not quite sure which one that was, but he was on screen at one point. Josh Pius, who was Raphael, he was also the in-suit performer, and he was also the guy that voiced it, so that's pretty dang cool.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He was the only one to do both in the Turtles, of the Turtles, I should say. He also plays the taxi cab passenger when they see
Rafi go over the thing, and he says, "What was that?"
Yeah, he
That's
sees
funny.
himself, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. And then Michael Sisti, Sisti. I've been toying with how to say that name, but I'm going to say Sisti, and I think it's McLean Sisti, actually, as Michelangelo, the in-suit performer, on-screen cameo as the pizza delivery man.
The Domino's guy?
Yep, that's what I would assume.
That's so cool.
And then Kevin Clash was also Splinter, and Kevin Clash is very famous because he's Elmo.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's
I keep
interesting.
Hearing Kevin Clash, and I think of Kevin Nash as the new Splinter in the next one. Or Shredder, I mean. Super Shredder, Kevin Nash.
Oh, my goodness. I love it. So there was a cool article on Den of Geek that I read, and I want to talk about it a little bit. It was called The Original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Movie is Still Amazing. And yeah, it is still amazing.
It really is.
It was by Mike Cecchine. Cecchini. Sorry, Mike. So in the 90s, the Turtles were, in 1990 almost specifically, the Turtles were like at the height of their popularity, right? They had breakfast cereals, frozen pizzas, video games, and of course the cartoon. How can you forget the cartoon? Like the final frontier then for them is live action. That's like the only thing that they got left to do, right?
Right.
That's pretty ambitious in 1990, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
I'd say it's ultra ambitious with no real way of doing it.
Right. And, yeah, nothing really to compare it to.
Right.
You've been really successful, so you're kind of teetering with maybe not being so successful in this adapt.
Ruining it for everybody.
Right, yeah.
Just the limitations of special effects at the time. But it got made. And so because it got made, this movie got to be surprisingly dark, right? For a kids movie.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the animated turtles weren't permitted to use their martial arts skills. So if you really think about and watch those episodes, they weren't able to actually hit anybody or use their weapons in a direct way.
Sure.
So I mean, that's about as ungritty and non-gritty as you can get, I guess, right? But for the movie, the Foot were mostly comprised of teenagers and younger, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the Ninja Turtles are beating up kids the whole movie,
yeah,
basically.
I mean, technically, they're teenagers as well.
Well, some of those kids look pretty dang young. I'm sure they're not getting promoted to a full-time foot soldier, but still.
Yeah, still. Menthol or regular, like, okay.
And then plus visually, the movie was shot in such a way that the colors were kind of washed out. It was really grainy and gray and stuff like that. So just to project a gritty sense of crime and struggle. Plus the action is just absolutely terrific in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
We'll probably talk about it multiple times. Golden Harvest was the production company for this film, which you see at the very beginning. And I was really surprised upon watching this again, because, I mean, it's been a number of years since I've watched this movie. I was like, Golden Harvest, like, they're pretty famous for their martial arts films. So it makes sense that they would have all this cool action.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for films that starred Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. So you don't get much better than that.
Yeah.
And you have to try not to forget, too, that these are actual stuntmen in suits that weigh 50 pounds that are doing cartwheels and flips and rolling around and doing somersaults and all types of ass kicking, if you will, right?
Yeah. I heard they were like crazy uncomfortable to wear, and
I can only imagine.
My God.
I can only imagine how uncomfortable, how hot and sweaty they'd have to be. It'd be insane. But then finally, so you know why it's Domino's and not Pizza Hut?
I think I'm about to find out.
Yes, I think you are. Pizza Hut didn't think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were worth a franchise. You know?
Crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
That is nuts. Especially if they were so popular. At that time.
Right. So
that seems crazy.
The Turtles had to order Domino's. But
now, we haven't watched it, or at least not recently, but is it Pizza Hut in the second one?
Pizza Hut saw the error of their ways.
Oh, man. Flip the page.
They are the sponsor in TMNT. Too.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I kind of like that it's two different ones, though.
And it was interesting too. Like when I did watch this again, I was like, it's Domino's. I thought it was Pizza Hut,
yeah.
But no, it's Domino's in the first one, obviously. Are you ready to get to the movie?
Let's get to the movie.
All right, let's do it.
Let's break it down.
All right. the movie opens with that awesome New York landscape, right? The Twin Towers in the distance.
Yeah, and man, are they in a lot of things that we keep rewatching.
Yes.
Makes sense.
It really does. In retrospect, like having grown up in the 80s and 90s and then having lived through 9/11, and I was in high school when it did happen, when 9/11 did happen, but I understood that it was a big deal at the time, but now seeing it in like so many movies, TV, in video games, it's like, man, that really was a symbol for America.
It really was.
The rest of the world would view America as the Twin Towers almost,
seriously.
So it's pretty it's sobering, it's somber anytime I see them, so it's an interesting little thing that I did not expect to run across when we started this podcast, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Very little of the movie was actually filmed in New York City.
Really?
Very little. So some of the scenes, like when he comes out of the Critters movie, that's in New York City, but most of it is done on sound stages in North Carolina.
Huh.
Pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
And the very beginning is also in New York City, where April O'Neil is reporting on the rising crime rates.
Mm-hmm.
The BK, Burger King product placement in the newsstand, the first of many product placements.
Yeah.
April doing this news story and just like the topic of this movie is like very of the time. It's very topical for 1990. Like New York was not a safe place to be in.
Right.
It just wasn't a safe place to be in. It's cleaned up quite a bit since the 80s and 90s, and especially the 70s.
Do you think it was as easy as they portray it to steal all these things in 1990?
I think yes. I think it might be almost as easy as they not quite.
I can agree with most everything except for when the guy has the package signed for and the entire truck gets wiped out in 10 seconds.
Yes, that was a bit far-fetched. I will give you that for sure.
But I did write that I love how 1990 this movie feels right away. Like the scenery, the old TVs and electronics that they're stealing, it just really puts you back to being a kid. I put the old Burger King packaging, just makes you miss being a kid.
Right, no, for sure. We see the first crime of the movie, and that dude gets pickpocketed, which that guy basically just walks up to him and like lifts his coat up and takes it out of his pocket.
Yeah, come on.
But there was a whole heck of a lot of work that went involved for that one wallet, right? We do get a glimpse of the first glimpse of a foot soldier, though, and that's that arm taking that wallet from Danny. Come on, Danny.
Danny boy.
But like we already talked about, April is continuing to report on things being stolen mysteriously. No one really sees the crimes happening, and reports of young boys running from the scene, which is a little weird.
Yes.
We get a quick glimpse of the Foot Clan hideout and more BK product placement, and then a pivotal scene coming up here where April leaves work. She gets scared by the rat, a little foreshadowing with Splinter, I guess. That yellow jacket, though, it's a direct homage to the comic book and the cartoon yellow jumpsuit. Why couldn't they get her to wear that yellow jumpsuit in the movie? I'll never know.
I'll take the jacket.
I'll take the jacket, I guess. It's some serious bad timing on her part, though. Sam Rockwell and some of the other hooligans stealing from the news van. Hey, get her purse, right? And that dude is off the top rope with an elbow from the top of the top of the news van straight onto April, and I don't know how she stays conscious.
Seriously. And then you just hear...
That sigh comes from off screen and knocks out the light. We get the first of many instances of comical fighting noises in the dark, and then the cops arrive and we see all the goons are tied up thanks to a mysterious being in a red bandana lifting up a manhole cover right in front of everybody.
Yeah, way too high. No cops are paying any attention.
But April sees that sigh on the ground, looks directly at Raphael, and takes the sigh in front of the cops.
Damn.
But now we get to see the first glimpse of the sewers, which is, a heavy scene point for this movie. A lot of time in the sewers, which is cool. It's a cool set. I enjoy the way it looks big time. We got all the turtles there. We got Leonardo, awesome.
Righteous.
Michelangelo, Donatello, Bossa Nova.
Bossa Nova.
Chevy Nova.
Excellent.
And then one of the first and many thereafter. Oh man. And then the damn.
Damn. He says damn twice in his first 4 words on screen. I also wrote down in that scene, it's all about some pizza right away.
Yeah,
Let's get some
it's
pizza.
all about that pizza right away.
One of my favorite lines of the movie, give me 3.
That is really good. We get to meet Splinter right away. The turtles are all excited to talk to Splinter. They were successful at helping people out, right?
Yeah.
So they're super pumped about it. Splinter reminds them, though, that they are not to be seen because people wouldn't get it, right?
Right.
6 foot tall Ninja Turtles fighting crime. Yeah. Plus, Splinter reminds him that he's going to die someday. He just straight up says it. I'm going to die someday, basically.
Yeah. Why he waited till they're 15 to tell him that, I don't know.
Raph blurts out that he lost his sai, and Splinter says, let's chill. Let's meditate. All right?
Yeah,
let's
meditate.
Let's bring it on down here a little bit. Dancing apparently is meditation. Hey, they're teens, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do.
Ninjutsu. I got
Ninjutsu.
I got a good kick out of that. So, but Raph decides it's a good time to go see a movie. You got a problem with that?
No.
That disguise, though, I know they address it a little while later, but that disguise, like, it's not fooling anybody.
No.
Not fooling anybody whatsoever.
At all.
But we got Donatello and Michelangelo waiting on a pizza now, a little further down the sewer. He's got 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And then they pose the question, do you ever wonder what it would be like to live without Splinter? Foreshadowing. the pizza guy gets there, who we learned was one of the other dudes, but that's okay. I'm not going to go back to it. The pizza guy gets there, and he's like, 122 and an eighth? 122 and an eighth?
Right down here.
Got some good product placement. Slides that pizza down sideways.
Yeah. Man, it just like makes you want Domino's.
It really
Every time
does.
I watch them, like, I kind of want some Domino's.
The only reason you get Domino's is because you live near it.
Right. You're right. Exactly.
It's the only reason. At least around here. Sorry, Domino's.
It is weird that I noticed how different Domino's looks back then, though, because they've changed their recipe. So, like,
Yes.
the crust
Yes.
sucked back in the day, and now it's like the one good thing they've got going
It
for them.
is. I did notice, though, that the boxes are the same as they are now because
Yep.
the Domino's went back to that retro box.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, some of that nostalgia's kind of lost on me because I've seen these boxes all over the place
Right,
again.
that's
But
true.
okay. But they only give him $10 because he's 3 minutes late, right?
Yeah.
Wise men say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for a pizza. But then they flash over to Raph on the surface. Once again, he's not fooling anybody with his disguise.
Nope.
He went to Critters. Critters is from 1986, so this movie takes place in 1986.
I didn't even think about that.
So, had you ever seen Critters?
I've never seen it.
You should see it. It's kind of like a poor man's Gremlins.
Oh, okay.
So it's trying to it's kind of be that kind of goofy horror flick. It definitely skews way more towards the horror and violence.
Sure. I think I've seen what the critters look like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean it's worth a watch. I think it's definitely worth a watch. It's pretty good. The sequels, on the other hand, not really worth watching.
so much.
That's okay. Raph, of course, and for the progression of the story is at the right place in the right time to help thwart a crime.
Yep.
And fortunate for us to introduce Casey Jones because I am a big fan of Casey Jones. In
I
this
could
movie.
only assume watching this that you love Casey Jones.
I love Casey Jones, not just because of the hockey angle. I don't know what it is about the guy, but I just love Casey Jones. The hockey angle definitely helps.
The hockey angle is awesome. He's funny. He's got the awesome hair. I mean,
Yeah.
you name it.
And he's a very familiar actor from the 90s. Like his face just seems super familiar, and I can't picture him in another project that he's been in, but it definitely, his face is like, yeah, I've seen that guy everywhere. So, but Raph, unfortunately for Casey, I guess, fortunately for the thugs, stops Casey from really showing those two purse snatchers a thing or two, right?
Yeah.
2 minutes for slashing, 2 minutes for hooking, and my personal favorite, 2 minutes for high sticking, right? And Casey tells Raph that, hey, man, you did your job. Now it's my turn to do this, right?
Right.
But now Casey wants to fight Raph, and Raph has very little interest. So, I mean, tough rocks, right?
Tough rocks.
Tough rocks, pal.
And how the hell does Casey kick his butt? Like,
Yeah, that's a really good
I'm
question.
just kind of flabbergasted. I mean, it's maybe they're setting it up to show that Casey's awesome and can help out later in the movie, I guess. But I mean, I just put is it the inexperience of Raph, or is Casey seriously that smart? I mean,
I think you could definitely put it up to the inexperience for Raph.
Definitely.
I think that's what you could put it up to, because Raphael seems to be physically larger, physically stronger.
Right.
Probably a better fighter
definitely
overall.
trained better.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems like the only thing that Casey Jones got his training on was on the ice.
Right.
For fighting people on the ice. That's how he learned how to fight. That's what they insinuate, at
I
least.
guess he watches enough cricket. That's how he sealed the deal.
I guess so. Did you like how they were fighting with those Jose Canseco bats? I mean, even in 1990, Jose Canseco was still a joke.
Right.
And he was like almost at the peak of his career at that point. But strike one, we got a whiffer. And then a home run. Raph wins 1-0. A new game, Roundhead. Cricket. Nobody understands cricket. You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
I'll show you.
Oh, he connects, right?
Oh, yeah.
He connects big time. 6 runs.
6 runs.
Oh, man. But Casey just escapes into the night. So long, freak. I got work to do.
Who you calling a freak?
Raph does give chase, but unsuccessfully. And the dude in the cab, I got a good kick out of the dude in the cab. What the heck was that? Sort of looked like a big turtle in a trench coat.
Yeah.
You're going to LaGuardia, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Kind of makes me think of kind of looked like a penguin, you know?
It kind of does. That is the writer's way, trying to get themselves out of the terrible disguise that the turtles wear.
Pretty much.
That's all that is.
Like, there's just no way it's even believable. Oh, it must be a Halloween costume.
Exactly. And then Raph says, "Get back here. I'm not finished with you." Damn!
My favorite word.
Oh, boy. But Raph returns to the sewers, unsuccessful, and get a little heart-to-heart with Splinter. And basically, obviously, your anger controls you. Anger clouds your mind. You're unique. You face your anger alone. I get the sense that Raph's an angry guy.
Yes.
Oh, man. And if you face it, don't forget me. That's what Splinter says. And your brothers. They're definitely exploring that troubled teen thing that was big in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
All teens were troubled, getting pregnant at age of 16, smoking when they're 12 years old, and drinking immediately. That was my youth. Like, don't become a troubled teen.
Exactly.
You're going to become a troubled teen.
Yeah.
Don't be a troubled teen.
Whether you're part of the Foot Clan or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, you are troubled.
You're a troubled teen. Troubled teen. But then we get April and her boss at the apartment. Her boss, Charles. Charles is a real wiener. He's just a
real wiener.
Man, Charles. Oh boy. I'm not a fan of Charles.
Not a fan of that guy.
Charles and his kid are the punk from the beginning of the movie.
Danny boy.
Danny loves the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
That's all he wears, is Sex Pistols t-shirts
the
whole time. I guess that means that he's a troubled teen.
He's a troubled teen. Wearing the shirts, listening to the Walkman. I don't even know where he got that from. Troubled teen.
That's what he does when he wants to ignore me. Troubled teen. I love that. That's amazing to me. April's down at the police station now, and she's trying to hold the police chief accountable for the high crime rates. And the Turtles see April on TV from their sewer headquarters, and Michelangelo is in love with April. He's kissing the TV. Honesty now, Trav. Did you ever kiss a TV for somebody?
You know, I don't think I did.
You never kissed the TV?
I don't think I ever kissed the TV.
I kissed Natalie Portman one time.
I feel like I kissed some sort of like picture or something after I saw Billy Madison kiss Veronica Vaughn in the picture.
Oh, I like it.
Oh, yeah, I should kiss a picture.
Kiss a picture. Just kiss a picture.
It's just practice.
It's just practice. But finally, April talks about the Foot Clan. There's no evidence to link such a name to these instances. The police chief is just denying it completely.
Oh, he's irate.
They never explicitly state it, but the Foot Clan have him in their pocket, right?
I think so.
Like, they never really are they never show them together or anything like that, or any weird dealing going on between them. But this instance where it's obvious there's something going on and he's just trying to move past it.
Right.
And then an instance later in the movie which we'll talk about when we get there, really makes me think that Stearns was in the Foot Clan's pocket.
Right, and he's mad that anyone's trying to uncover what's going on, basically.
Right. We get a first real glimpse of Shredder. He's watching a wall of TVs because it's cool, right?
Yeah.
Why else wouldn't you watch? Why would you watch one TV when you can watch a whole wall of CRT TVs?
Exactly. In 1990, no one wants a 70-inch TV. You want 70 TVs.
70 10-inch TVs displaying the same picture on every one of them. It's not one big picture. It's just the same thing on every one of them. That's a very strong 90s trope, and I enjoy that big time. Oh, boy. He is less than pleased, though. Find her. Silence her. We see Raph getting ready to head out again with that awesome disguise.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. And then April getting called into Stern's office after the news conference. As she turns away, we see Danny in handcuffs.
Uh-oh.
Come on, Danny boy. It is kind of funny that two characters in two different movies, completely about two different things, but we're doing them in a row. Both have a Danny.
Danny, yep.
I was like, come on.
Danny
both have a Danny. Not to be confused with the Danny Torrance.
Danny Torrance.
Led away in handcuffs. Dun, 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 dun. April gets reamed out by Stearns, the chief of police, but she leaves pretty angry, but not really angry. She feels kind of like triumphant that she got under his skin,
and it was pretty easy.
Right. She told her production assistant to time her, how long it's going to take her to get kicked out, basically.
Right.
Minute 7, right? Wasn't that what it was?
Yep.
A minute 7, something like that.
Trying to tell me how to do my job.
So she leaves. Raph is following her. He's trying to recover his side because he knows that she has it. April's in that subway station now. Conveniently empty subway station in the middle of the day, right by the police station.
In New York.
In New York City. She's confronted by the Foot. We've been waiting for you, Mrs. O'Neill. Or Miss O'Neill. She's
Miss
not married.
O'Neill.
Miss O'Neill. Why? Okay, I'm going to read this, but what am I behind on my Sony payments again? That's pretty racist there, April. Pretty racist. Yikes.
Yikes.
Your mouth may yet bring you much trouble, Miss O'Neill. I deliver a message. One of the funniest parts of the whole movie. He reaches out with his closed hand, palm up, slowly opens it as if he's going to give her a note, and he slaps her across the face and says, "Shut it." Like, that is one of the funniest things ever. Like, that's something you do to your friend on the playground, right?
Yeah.
Like, here you go. It was a laugh out loud moment for me every time I watched the movie.
Yeah.
All 3 times. I only got to watch it 3 times. I'm disappointed. I wanted 4, but I only got 3.
Yeah, I did 4.
Life got in the way. April fights back a little bit with Raph's side, but instantaneously gets it knocked out of her hands.
Obviously. She shouldn't be awesome with that.
No. But lucky for Raph, he gets to recover it, right?
Yep.
The Foot knock April out, and then Raph kicks their butts. Raph escapes with April into the subway, with one of the Foot soldiers following pretty closely.
Yep.
So, dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Back at the Turtles HQ with April. April's reaction to waking up to a giant rat and 4 human-sized turtles is pretty understandable.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
pretty understandable. She thinks she's dead at first. That's how...
Trying to make conclusions of everything.
Like, so she says she thinks she's dead. Do you think she's in hell? Like, do you think she thinks that she's in hell? Like...
Yeah. I mean... Not to say anybody wants to go to hell, but if that's hell, it's a lot different than the way it was portrayed to me as a kid.
Well, that's very true. That's very true. Like, if I went to hell and it was just like the Ninja Turtles, like this movie, and I had to live in this movie, it wouldn't be so bad.
It wouldn't be that bad. It was living 1990 forever. I mean,
hell is living in 1990. That's no hell to me.
That is no hell to me. Died of dominoes and dominoes.
But yeah, she thinks it's a dream, but no. It's origin story time.
Origin story time.
But please, don't forget about that foot soldier, all right? He's there too.
Yep.
15 years ago, Splinter learned the secret art of ninja by mimicking his master Yoshi's movements from his cage.
My God.
Even as a 7-year-old, I was like, come on.
Seriously, I was thinking that too. Like, how did I buy this when I was a kid? I don't think I did.
If I did, I barely bought it.
Yeah,
I was like,
definitely.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it really funny.
It does.
Especially when they show it later in the movie. I kind of forgot that was the thing.
I will say, when they do show it later in the movie, yes, it is hilarious.
It's hilarious.
But it is still some pretty impressive puppet work. Like, if you did that same stuff with that same puppet on Sesame Street, and it was made to get a laugh, it would be the best thing ever.
Oh, for sure.
Totally makes sense, right? Oh, boy. But, after being forced to New York City, Splinter became a sewer rat and found the turtles one day while he was scavenging. Yeah. That makes sense, right? They were crawling around in some radioactive ooze, so naturally the rat gathered up the turtles.
Obviously. What's a rat to do?
That's exactly what they do in the wild, right? I saw that on Nat Geo one time. This
Definitely,
rat gathering up turtles.
They work together. I've seen that on our planet Earth. Definitely.
Yeah,
Rats and turtles.
The one that David Attenborough narrated.
Yeah. You remember that?
I sure do.
Episode 3. Yeah.
Oh boy. The next day, they all had gotten bigger and smarter. Their first words were pizza.
Pizza and radical. I wrote that down. First words are pizza and radical.
So Splinter then thought to himself, this is going to be a great time to train these turtles ninjutsu.
Yeah. Doesn't he say I was surprised at how smart they were because they could talk, and their first words are pizza and radical. Like, yes, they will heed my instruction. Yep. I'm going to make them four of the most badass Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this world's ever seen.
Oh my God, it's the truth. Because then Splinter named the turtles, and bam, you have one origin story.
Yeah, and does he have some major appreciation for art? That
he probably scavenged up some ancient art relics in the sewers in New York City. He's like, I love these painters, and named these turtles after them. And April calmly accepts all of this. She's like, yeah, okay, I'm not dreaming, am I?
I'm not dreaming. Okay, that's kind of cool.
No, I'm afraid not.
Yeah. You're really gonna buy everything this rat's saying to you? Okay.
And then it's off to April's apartment for pizza and impressions.
Oh, yeah. I love this scene.
Oh, for sure. This is a great bit of levity, some true comedy coming through in the movie, right?
Like when they're on the way and she says, aren't we there yet? And they're like, no, it's only 9th Street.
Good.
And then I just love when she's like, all right, well, that's it for me. I'll see you guys later. I'd invite you in, but all I have is frozen pizza. Out comes Michelangelo, who is underneath Donatello somehow. And then he's ready to go, and Donatello's telling the other two, yeah, pizza.
Doesn't Leonardo call up from the sewer? Did she say pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty dang good.
That's so good.
But yeah, they're doing the impressions of Rocky, which I knew, and then James Cagney. I only know James Cagney from other people doing impressions of James Cagney. I don't think I've ever seen a James Cagney movie. So.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the
you dirty rat. Yeah, I know James Cagney's impression for that line, and that
right.
You dirty rat.
That must be Splinter's favorite.
It was a joke. It was a weird joke, and it was delivered not like a joke at all, April. So whatever.
Yeah. We got a little more product placement with some Pepsi.
Yeah, some Pepsi. But the turtles got to get back because Splinter worries, right?
Yeah. When am I going to see you guys again? Oh, it depends how fast you restock your pizza.
Oh my goodness. The turtles have now returned to the sewers. Their home has been broken into because we got to get that story going again, right?
Yep.
It's been trashed and Splinter is missing. And then we get Raphael and his scream of rage.
So, thinking of this was the one Foot Clan member who was following them?
I would have to assume so. Well, don't they show...
Well, there was 3, so maybe...
They show them breaking in, so that,
Oh, yeah.
So that one Foot Clan, I think he went back. Yeah, that one foot soldier, he went back. I was
just thinking for a second, how in the hell did one guy beat Splinter?
Yeah, Splinter should have been able to kick his butt.
He really should have still been able to take on how many were there. But
yeah, he probably could have taken on probably 3 or 4.
I guess he has no weapon? He
No.
gave all the weapons of the turtle?
He's got his cane, right? That's his weapon. But
that's true.
They are just teens. They are troubled teens.
They are troubled teens. Those are the hardest ones to defeat.
They are. They got some extra hit points or something. So the only place the turtles can think to go, because their whole headquarters is trashed and been found out, is to April's apartment, right?
Yep.
What's wrong? Splinter. Splinter.
Did you happen to go get more pizza?
Pizza. We get a quick scene of the police chief calling Charles about his son because he was arrested. And it's obvious to infer there that they're doing a little deal, right? To get April to leave the Foot Clan thing alone, and I'll give you your kid.
Right.
So, yes, the Foot Clan have the police in their pocket.
Yep.
Or maybe Stearns is so desperate to keep his elected position. I'm assuming it's an elected position. That he wants crime to look not as bad as it is.
I guess.
Just denying it. I don't know.
It's 1990. They'll side with him. The teens are troubled.
The teens are troubled, okay? Oh, boy. The next morning at April's apartment, Charles at the door, and the turtles need to hide, which they do easily, because ninjas, remember? Remember? Obviously, Charles and the police have traded favors to get Danny out, because Danny's there also, right? Danny's there also?
Yep.
Yeah, Danny's there also. Charles wants April to back off the story. April is not too happy about that. We get a little bit more of that Ninja Turtle hide and seek with Mike in the mirror and Donnie in the shower. Danny is convinced that the turtles are there, though, right? Because he saw Michelangelo. He saw Michelangelo.
What is the deal? Sorry, what is the deal with the boss showing up to her apartment all the time?
I don't know.
That's very weird.
It is weird.
And brings his kid.
Yeah,
and then talks sometimes as if they were in a relationship or she should know more than she does. It just seems like a very weird dynamic.
It is a very odd dynamic, and I don't know enough about the comic book to know, because this movie definitely takes a page, to use a pun, I guess, more from the comic book than it does from the animated series.
Right.
So I could maybe chalk that up to it being a storyline that's in the comic book.
Sure.
I really don't know when it comes to that. I've seen very little. I've seen the artwork from the comic books, just because I wanted to see what it would look like, because it's interesting to me, but that's as far as I know about that.
Luckily, my boss has never showed up at my door, let alone multiple times.
My boss did show up at my door one time. I had slept in, and they came knocking at my door at 9:30 in the morning.
Oh.
Hey, where are you? And I was like, huh? Oh, I'll get to work. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
That was a long time ago, and it only happened once. Okay, it happened twice, but
it's okay. He was a troubled teen.
Troubled teen. Troubled teen. But yeah, April is supposed to be giving up on this story. And she is definitely not happy about it. Danny's convinced that the turtles are there because he saw Michelangelo, like we said. Finally, with Charles pleading with April to take a break on the story, Charles and Danny leave the apartment. But not before Danny stares directly at April's chest as he leaves. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Just directly at it. And I rewound it because I'm like, is he really just staring straight at her chest as he leaves? Yeah, he is just staring straight at her chest as he leaves.
Don't make me say it again, Drew. Troubled teen.
Troubled teen. Oh, boy. Danny runs away, obviously, because his dad's reaming him out about wait until after school. You're gonna really have something to cry about then.
No more Sex Pistols for you.
So he just gets out of the car and runs away because it's 1990 and nobody's wearing a seatbelt.
Obviously.
But we finally get to see a real detailed, spend some time with the Foot Clan hideout,
which is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
It had it all.
Yeah, it had literally everything you can imagine.
If you have an evil hideout in the 80s or 90s, this takes the cake. It's the best thing.
We got cigars. We got gum. We got arcade games, a skate park, a DJ booth, a roulette table, cigarettes, whether you want regular or menthol, neon signs, and basketball.
I love that. I had a list like that too, and I wrapped mine out with, and of course, smoking children.
And of course, smoking children. Troubled teens.
Troubled teens. They have a lot of Pepsi product placement in this one too, so it's another instance of product placement. I should do a word count when I edit this on how many times we say product placement, because I have a feeling that's how this movie was funded.
Yeah. Or troubled teens.
Troubled teens. Oh, boy. We get to see a short sparring match. So, obviously, we see where all the younger ones are hanging out to kind of lure them in with the gambling and the cigarettes. Because that's what every 10-year-old wants, is gambling and cigarettes.
I guess.
I didn't even know how to gamble at 10 years.
I did not either, nor did I have any desire to smoke cigarettes.
If I was a troubled preteen, maybe I would have known.
That's true.
I don't know. So yeah, then it's up to the next step where these kids are a little bit older and now they're getting trained on how to fight, and Master Tetsu is sparring with that one kid, and the kid bows, and he just does he kick him right in the head? Yeah, he kicks him right
in the face.
Never lower your eyes to an enemy. Every one of my evil voices sounds exactly the same. Trouble team.
Trouble team.
But that gong sounds, and everybody's going running to Shredder.
Yep.
Man, does he look badass, though, huh?
Yeah, he does.
Super badass.
Super badass.
Super badass.
Badass, intimidating, not going to be able to take him out.
Yeah.
No matter how troubled and teen you are.
And it's really, really true to the way he looked in the cartoon. It's super true to that.
Oh, for sure.
Even later on, it looks more red, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be purple. It looks way more red.
It's like maroon.
Yeah, there you go.
It's halfway point.
It's a halfway point. Boy, but Shredder promises Shredder promotes one of the low-level thugs to a full member of the Foot. Money cannot buy the honor which you have earned tonight. We also see that the Foot Clan has Splinter held captive, so we know where Splinter is, right?
Yep.
Obviously, where else would he be? Yada, yada, yada. We get Shredder's speech telling everyone there that he's basically their only option, because you're here because you were rejected by the outside world. This is your family. I am your father. Shredder wants everybody to become full members to mobilize the troops.
Yeah.
I guess. And then there's a new enemy, the Turtles, right?
The Turtles.
Yep, he wants to punish these. He wants to punish these creatures. These Turtles. Dramatic pauses and all.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. But Danny's there. He just kind of comes out of nowhere. Hey, I know where the Turtles are. Right?
I love that voice. Oh, man, that was good. Yeah.
Hey, guys. Am I cool now? Oh, boy. But April's on TV now, and she's trying to expose the Foot. Chief Stearns is none too happy about it, and Stearns calls April's boss, Charles, immediately. I thought we had a deal.
Yeah, what the
hell? In April's apartment, Raph and Leonardo have a fight about what the Turtles should be doing. Leo obviously wants to be conservative and stay, and Raph wants to get out there and kick some butt.
Obviously.
That's their personalities. How else would it have gone? No other way besides that.
Yeah.
Raphael storms out of April's apartment. And Michelangelo and Donatello just sit there nicely eating snacks. Pork rind? Pork rind.
Pork rind.
But that Raph goes and punches it out on the roof, right? What else would you do?
Right.
Gotta go punch it out on the roof. Do some cartwheels. Do some kicks.
A few cartwheels.
Casey Jones spots him on the roof. What is he doing? Why is Casey Jones up there?
I really don't know.
I think he's got a scanner radio. Is that what he's dealing with?
Yeah.
And so he's probably surveying from crime.
Yeah.
But if you're on the top of this building and you see something at street level with the binoculars that he had with him,
right?
I got to go run down these stairs.
Yeah. By the time you get down there.
I missed it.
Yeah.
So it's
he's
kind
up there as if he's a superhero.
He's
but
not a superhero.
Forgets he cannot fly.
He's a dude with sporting equipment attached to his back.
Yeah.
I mean, he uses it well, but still, that's what he is.
Right.
Unfortunately for Raphael, the Foot Clan are there to attack him. In April's apartment, Michelangelo and Donatello are watching cartoons. It's a tortoise versus the hare, cartoon, which is pretty funny.
That is funny.
Ninja kick the damn rabbit. You're losing. Which is very funny to me. They just assume every turtle has martial arts skills.
Right.
I mean, I do. Why wouldn't you, right?
Obviously. You don't have a splinter?
I mean, where's your rat? I mean, we were gathered by a rat.
Yeah.
Where's your rat?
Isn't that how you originated?
Oh, boy. But April is home, and she's wondering where Raph is. Where's Raphael? Cut to Raph kicking butt, and his size were getting tossed away by the foot soldier.
Yeah.
He doesn't toss him over the roof. He just kind of tosses him to a different section of the roof.
Yeah.
Why not chuck him if you really want to,
Right.
Whatever, I guess. Then April says, I was going to give you guys a tour of the store. Should we go get him? Nope. He just needs to blow off some steam. Nope. Don't do it.
Don't worry about him.
Cut back to Raph having no weapons. Hasn't slowed him down. How do you guys expect to beat me? With numbers. Just more of them.
Yeah.
Good answer. April actually runs that antique store. When she gets there, she's like, well, I live above an antique store. Wouldn't she also say at that point that I also run?
You would think.
I own the building.
Yeah.
We find out that she runs it for her dad, who's dead.
Yeah.
Just keeps it open a couple days a week.
Right. Makes no sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever. But I mean, if she's a full-time reporter, when would she ever have time to open up this antique store, like on the weekends for fun?
Yeah.
I guess.
She
keeps it open for her father's memory, who may or may not be dead, because I missed that detail.
Yes, somehow she makes enough money those couple days a week to keep that antique store open.
But with Raph back on the roof, things aren't looking very good with him. April asks, hasn't Raph been gone a long time? Nah, he does this all the time. He likes it.
He likes it.
Are you sure? He'll be back any minute.
Yeah, don't worry about him.
And then he gets thrown through a skylight, Batman style.
Yeah, Batman style for sure.
Oh, boy. And now April's apartment is being flooded with the foot. There's foot everywhere. Everywhere. The group is surrounded, so they're immediately swarmed and captured. Nope. They face off one-on-one against everybody.
Yeah. One at a time. I mean, they are teens.
Troubled teens. I do like with Mikey saying, a fellow chucker, eh?
Yeah, that's awesome.
A little back and forth between the two of them. Mike is obviously better than the Foot Clan dude. Obviously. It's then the violence in this scene is very comical. It's very kid-friendly.
Yes.
It's funny with them flipping all over the place. It's really athletic. It's super entertaining. It's well choreographed. Like
using
all these
random to beat people up. The symbols.
Right. The fun stunts with the water spitting. The Wheel of Fortune, dude. I thought everybody loved Vanna. And then one of the foot soldiers happens to arrive with a dozen long-handled axes. Hands them out.
Yep.
It's like, I got these axes, guys.
I'm the axe guy.
I'm the axe guy's here. Here's your axes. Hey, somebody send in the axe guy.
Yeah.
So then the turtles start rolling around on the floor, back and forth, while the foot clan's trying to chop them.
Yep.
And they end up chopping through the floor.
Yeah.
And then
the floor
collapse down into
down there, and then the one guy smacks an electrical wire and ignites himself on fire.
So when you talk about this, it seems absolutely ridiculous. When I was taking my notes on this, I'm like, this is really what's happening in this scene. They're rolling around on the floor, dodging axe strikes. Whoa. But it works in the scene.
It does.
When you just watch it and you just have it and it's just fun and it happens, it's that works.
Right.
When you really think about it too much, it does not work.
Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. But yeah, it's another series of really fun stunts and stuff. The fight does continue in the antique store. More comical fighting. It's the stuff that the kids loved, so you got to keep putting more and more of that stuff in, like you said, with the symbols and all that stuff. The turtles are starting to get overwhelmed, but Casey Jones to the rescue.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for Casey Jones. Hey, what are you doing to my little green pal over there? Who's that? Wayne Gretzky on steroids? That's a funny gag. I got a kick out of that. Wayne Gretzky's a hockey player from the 80s and 90s. I would assume that most people know who Wayne Gretzky is.
Have at least heard of the name.
He's the great one. Best hockey player to ever play the game, probably.
Gretzky,
the great one. There's some serious music playing now, though. So we know things are getting real.
Oh, yeah.
The serious music has popped up and it's getting real.
Yep.
The electrocuted foot soldier starts the place on fire. With the store burning, April helps the turtles and Casey Jones escape through a trap door. Thankfully, she runs the place and knows about a trap door. Otherwise they would have
exactly
burnt to death. So I know they use it later on, in the next scene, basically. But when the answering machine falls from the ceiling and is just hanging there, it's like, April, it's Charles. You're fired.
It's
like,
just another way for him to be a wiener.
It's just the weirdest thing ever to just put it in that way. Why not? It's just funny. It struck me as funny and odd. So.
Yeah.
Everyone escapes, including Casey and the foot soldiers, because Tetsu says, "Ninja, vanish!"
Yeah.
And they all vanish. Pew. Boy. But then we get to see some Shredder and Splinter action. And Shredder just walks up to Splinter and just uppercuts him right in the face. Punches that rat really hard in the face, and he asks him, "What are these freaks?" He says this to a human-sized rat that is tied to a fence.
Right.
And anyways, if Splinter does tell Shredder everything, what is that information gonna like get him?
Yeah.
Nothing.
You son of a...
So Splinter does say nothing. I mean, what else is he going to say? And Shredder says, "Hang there until you die."
Yeah.
Then
You
he
already
just-
uppercutted me. I mean,
Yeah, I'm going to die right here, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Then he just straight up mean mugs Tetsu as he walks out. And I guess that's some sort of like signal that he did a bad job, because then he goes and beats up a whole bunch of kids.
Yeah, pretty
Tetsu
much,
goes and
I
beats
guess.
up a whole bunch of kids.
And for Splinter's sake, he's like, well, at least I warned the turtles about this.
Right. He beat up some troubled teens. That's okay. They're troubled. But we do get to see Danny and Splinter then, and Splinter ever the optimist. All fathers care for their sons, right? So that's basically the story that he gets across. Splinter's big on the whole love thing.
Right.
Make love, not war type of thing.
Yep.
He loves love. Splinter loves love. So, that's all you can really gain out of that with Danny. It's like, hey, give your dad a chance. He loves you. Don't be such a jerk.
Right.
April and the gang are hiding out in the country now. This is some of my like fondest memories of this movie. Like, I really love the time that they spend at the farmhouse.
Oh, yeah.
It's really a slow part of the movie, but
it gets badass.
It
Because
does.
then they start the music while
Yeah.
they're training outside, and it's some of the better fighting, like they're taking on each other with their weapons and stuff.
Yeah, it's a really fun part of the movie for me. The van is shot when they get there, and the nearest neighbor is 4 miles away. So April says, "I guess I've got some walking to do." And Casey Jones asks, "Why?" April says, "I have to call my boss." "Oh, yeah. He left you a message on your machine right before we got out." "And?" "Let's just say I saved yourself an 8-mile round tripper. You were fired." Yeah, and she calls him out on his insensitivity, because that was definitely not a very sensitive way to go about telling April that she was fired.
No.
She does not take that news very well, and April and Casey get into a fight to create some tension in the story, yeah, I guess.
Basically.
That's it, to make the time spent at the farm a little bit more exciting. And Casey and April storm off, and they slam their doors. Donatello says, "Gosh, it's kind of like moonlighting, isn't it?" That's a joke about a sitcom from the 90s called Moonlighting, starring Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. It's about their on-again, off-again relationship, and it was tumultuous, very much like Casey Jones and April.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There it is.
Now you know why that joke's funny. My parents watched that show, so I vaguely remember watching it, and Bruce Willis had a full head of hair that wasn't a wig at that time, so
Damn.
way to go, Bruce. Then we get some April journaling action. She's quite the artist, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
Do you think she really drew those?
No, I don't.
I would hope that she had, but I'm sure you're right. She says in her inner monologue, she says, "It still feels like home." She's been away forever, but it still feels like home. "My amazing new friends have suffered their first defeat." And we get that fan art of Donatello, which is fun. Each turtle is dealing with their loss in their own way. Donatello latched onto Casey Jones. Does anybody under the age of 20 even know what Gilligan's Island is anymore?
True. I would imagine not.
Like, if you showed that movie to a 20-year-old, would
No.
they get the Gilligan?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No
Not
way.
one bit.
I wouldn't think so.
I just feel like that's...
Does that even play on like Nick at Night or anything anymore?
I don't know if that even is on like normal cable. You probably have to go like search it out. Gilligan's Island just seemed like such an ingrained thing in our culture. I can't believe that it's gone past it, but I think it probably has.
Right, because shows and movies kept it going with jokes for so long,
Right.
but now it's like they know they can't really touch that.
I mean,
no one would know.
That was a black and white show.
Yeah.
Like, it's like 60 years old now, at least, right?
Yeah, it's pretty damn
That's
old.
pretty old. So,
Was it really black and white?
yeah, it was originally a black and white show. Yeah, the first 2 seasons were
Okay,
black and
not
white.
the whole
No,
series,
not the
I
whole
was gonna
series.
say.
It was colorized later on. I just thought that was interesting. I was like, they're making jokes about Gilligan's Island, and I think if anybody was younger watching that, wouldn't get it.
Yep.
Understandable. It's old. Leonardo, though, is holding a constant vigil for the injured Raphael in the tub. I guess that's what you do with that's what you do with an injured turtle. Put him in a tub.
I guess, yeah.
Put him in a tub full of
Put 'em
water.
in a tub.
What about Michelangelo? Where's Michelangelo at this time? We don't really know.
I don't think so,
No,
yeah.
We don't get to know. We don't get to know. As for Casey Jones and April O'Neil, let's just say it's complicated. I think she's got the hots for him, obviously, right?
Obviously.
Is believable. They have good chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. It's super believable. I thought that was their relationship. Didn't seem forced. It didn't seem weird. It seemed like a very natural part of the story.
Yeah.
Do you think that the porch swing breaking was a on purpose thing, or do you think it was a happy accident that porch swing broke while he was sitting in it?
I don't know. I've been back and forth, but
he looks genuinely shocked that it happened.
Right. Oh, you mean like in real life? Did that?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. Do you think that really happened?
I don't know. I thought the same thing because he plays it off so good. Like he just ate a bite of the apple. Not only does he not choke, he's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
like,
it seems like a genuine reaction to something breaking.
Yeah.
Not that it was planned to drop.
Well, I hope it was the latter.
I hope so too. I mean, I could see them getting that genuine reaction out of him by saying, "We're gonna drop this." But I'm not going to tell you when. So you can get that genuine reaction. But because the way he fell, he kind of like made himself go forward as to not hit his head while he was reclined. So I was going back and forth. Like, did that accidentally happen, or was it a well choreographed stunt?
Right.
So I don't know. I think I want to believe that it was a happy accident.
Exactly.
Raph wakes up. Thankfully, he's hungry, right? Leo and Raph bury the hatchet. It's a Kodak moment.
Oh, it's a Kodak moment for
that
sure.
means taking a picture with a real camera and film. Kodak moment.
Yep.
It's an ad campaign. We get a little training montage with some April voiceover. The turtles are four once again, and yet still not whole. A lingering doubt remains, an unknown which they can't bear to face. Their greatest fear. And then you get Raph. Splinter! Why wouldn't he scream Shredder?
Yeah. Like
that's their greatest fear that they have to face.
Right.
Shredder, not Splinter.
Yeah.
But whatever. He misses Splinter big time. Back at the Foot Clan hideout, Splinter still isn't talking. Danny is still missing. And Shredder is still obsessed with the turtles. As to why he is obsessed, it's something about the way they fight. Something from the past. Back on the farm, the turtles are training. Casey and April make dinner and maybe a little more, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I know what you mean. They're not teens and they're not troubled.
No, I bet they had no trouble whatsoever. But we find out that Leo's a psychic because he makes a psychic connection with Splinter right after that.
Yep.
This movie's got everything, including psychic turtles.
Exactly.
Everything.
He's
everything.
He's the leader.
He would be psychic. If any of them were going to be psychic, it would be him.
I mean, he is the most
chill.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. But now he's going to focus. All four turtles are going to focus that energy, and they're going to concentrate and make a link with Splinter's Force Ghost. It looked exactly like a Force Ghost. He's proud of the turtles because they've mastered not only the body but the mind. Way to go, guys. And he just gives them a long speech basically saying love joins them all together. It unites us all.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
And
That's
I don't know
said.
what it is about that blue flame, but I always remember that blue flame.
Oh yeah,
from that movie.
It's a really cool effect. It's
Yeah.
really, really well done, and it was really cool effect. I like that a lot. It was very surprising that it's a practical effect. Like that wasn't done without that was done without computers.
Right.
I like that a lot. Practical effects. I love them. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We just had that. We talked about it already, but Casey on the porch swing the next morning.
Yeah.
Did they bang?
Oh, obviously.
Did he do her?
Obviously.
He did her.
He did her.
He did her big time. Where were the turtles? They probably just went out into the barn and did it, I bet.
Yeah.
The turtles sneak up on the lovebirds. It's time to go back. Cue up the synth rock track. Cue it up. Thank you. Back in the city and down in the sewers, Casey is not a fan of those sewers. I don't know if I would be either.
No, probably not.
Maybe not so much even for the claustrophobic factor of it, but like just the smell and the dirtiness of it.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, I don't want to be down here. Be probably covered in cockroaches and.
Oh yeah.
I don't like camping. I'm not sleeping in a sewer. Oh, boy. Casey has a couple of really good lines, though. First, it's the farm that time forgot. Now this. He literally says these in a row, like filling time, right? Why don't I ever fall in with people that own condos? I guess it's hard to get a good maid service in the sewer. Maybe you guys should try Roto-Rooter, huh? But come on, Casey. It's just for the night.
It's just for the night.
And obviously, Raph wants to get going, but they need some sleep first. In the meantime, the turtles discover that Danny's been hiding in the sewers the whole time.
Yep.
Hey, Danny, how's it going? He ran away from home, and April wants to call his dad Charles, but Danny wants to stay with the turtles for the night. Casey says, what's all this talk about spending the night down here? And then Don says, you're claustrophobic. And Casey says, you want a fist in your mouth? I've never even looked at another guy. Yikes.
Yikes.
Yikes. An instance of this movie not holding up, and that's in that section.
Question for you, Drew.
Yeah.
Do you like penicillin on your pizza?
That's a great line. That's a great line.
Yeah, that is great. And then they give it the little prepper funeral. Dun, dun, dun. Like, that is how important pizza is to these turtles.
That's a great line.
I
That is
can't
very
believe
funny.
you, Danny.
they literally get down on their knees and like pay their final respects to it. Love that.
And how the hell does that phone work down there?
I don't know. It must just be like a remnant of when it was actually some sort of station that was used.
Oh, I suppose.
Because a phone doesn't actually need a power line. It's powered through the phone line.
Right.
So as long as the phone line's connected to it, I mean, that's why you can make a call on a landline when the power's out, right?
Yeah.
So I would see that'd be the only way. It's just a remnant of it having been down there and it just never got disconnected. That is a payphone, folks. That is a payphone.
Yep.
Cost a nickel to call for like a minute, right? Casey's sleeping in the truck because he's claustrophobic, and Danny and the rest of the gang are sleeping in the sewers. Danny has a nightmare, flashbacks.
Yeah.
It's like he kind of has the words of Shredder and Splinter going back and forth in his mind. No one wants you. All fathers care for their sons. Danny is torn, I guess, right? He's torn. He wants to be a troubled teen. Troubled teen.
Yeah.
Or does he want to be a good guy? What do you want?
No, he's like, my real dad's a wiener. I really like Splinter, but that Shredder is kind of an ass. I don't know.
Do I want to be cool and steal stuff?
Yeah. Cool.
Exactly. But feeling pretty confused, Danny sneaks out. But luckily, Casey sees Danny sneaking out of the sewer and follows him to the Foot Clan hideout.
Yep.
Danny goes straight to Splinter. Splinter was worried about Danny. Oh, hey, Danny, there you are. I was worried about you.
Yeah, my son.
My son. We get a little bit more Splinter backstory. I, too, had family many years ago in Japan. His master Yoshi had a great rival named Orokusaki. The strongest rivalry was over a woman named Tang Shin. And instead of fighting Saki, Yoshi and Shin fled to America. But obviously Saki found them and killed them. Splinter luckily attacked Orokusaki and scratched his face up.
Yep.
And Orokusaki hit him, sliced his ear off with a katana. And then ran away.
Yeah, he is a master of martial arts, and he's got a rat who is not as big as he eventually becomes, and he just slices his ear.
And then stands there and looks at him instead of swinging again.
Yeah, like, I'm going to leave you for later so this movie can happen.
Now I know which rat it is, the one without the ear. I'm coming back for you later.
And we already mentioned this, but I did write that Splinter's training story with Yoshi is ridiculous but awesome.
It is. It's ridiculous but awesome.
It's pretty funny to actually see him doing the martial arts in the cage. So it's like, oh my. But it's all right.
No, it's great. It's an instance of it, like your suspension of disbelief is really checked when it comes to that, especially as an adult and definitely as a kid too.
Yeah, I mean, by that point in the movie, if that bothers you, then I don't know how you made it that far in the movie.
You've been watching for way too long.
Yeah.
But we basically find out that Saki is Shredder.
Yep.
We see Casey Jones, that he's there now at the hideout, and he does the old knock the guard out and steal his uniform gag, right? That's been done in a million movies. I love it every time. Shredder finds Danny with Splinter. Where have you been? You're lying to me, and you're hiding something as well. Shredder finds out that the turtles are back, and the picture of Danny in his pocket is what the picture Danny had in his pocket of Leonardo, correct?
Leonardo.
is what gave it away. And so now he knows that the turtles are back.
Yep.
Yay, the turtles are back.
There's a drawing. They must be back.
They must be back. The Foot are back down in the turtles' hideout looking to finish the job and eliminate the turtles. The turtles easily dispatch the first round of foot soldiers. I hope there are more of those. Isn't that what Raph says, right? I hope there are plenty more coming. Danny and Casey rescue Splinter. So now things are really starting to speed up. They do run into a little bit of a problem. They do need to make it through Tetsu first.
Yeah.
Casey does this with the help of a golf club, and that's kind of an iconic thing. Like the golf club, his driver is like, I'm pretty sure like one of his main weapons that he likes to use in the comic book and in the cartoon, even though he has a very small part in the cartoon. I don't remember him being much in the cartoon at all.
I don't either in the 87.
Yeah. If he was he at all?
He is,
I believe. But he was too crazy probably and too violent of a character to really have any type of long screen time.
Right.
Yeah. So they do make it through Tetsu with that golf club, and he's never going to call golf a dull game again, right?
Right.
I suppose if you're using golf clubs to beat people up, it's probably not very dull. After pointing out the obvious oxymoron of the Foot Clan being a family, the Sam Rockwell-led thugs let Splinter, Casey, and Danny pass. Right?
Yep.
Sam Rockwell is just like, all right, I believe you. You're right. It's pretty crappy, that deal we got going.
Yeah.
But back at the sewer, the Turtles have the Foot Clan on the run. Hey, Donnie, I think this one's suffering from shell shock. Too derivative. Boy, I guess we can really shell it out. Too cliche. Well, I guess it was a shell of a good hit. I like it. Awesome. And then Michelangelo screaming, God, I love being a turtle. I remember that being in commercials and in the trailer, that instance. And I watched the trailer on my Blu-ray to see if it was actually in there. And yes, it is actually
too as well.
Although it sounds like a different voice, doesn't it? Did you notice that at all?
It does a little bit.
It sounds like a different voice.
In the movie, does he tuck his head in like that?
Yeah, he does.
Okay,
he does. He does tuck his head in like that. Everyone has made it up to the roof at this point, and the Turtles make short order of the rest of the Foot Clan. We finally get to move on to that final showdown with Shredder.
Oh, yeah.
Final showdown with Shredder. All the troubled teens are down on the street.
Yep.
Not as troubled as they were.
No.
Not as troubled. Still troubled, but not as troubled. All the Turtles are there, and they're ready to take on Shredder. One at a time.
One at a time. Why not?
One at a time, right?
Yeah, that's the way to start it. One at a time.
Every one of them seems to be pretty evenly matched with Shredder.
Yeah.
Nobody really gets any advantage, disadvantage. Shredder's kind of doing that DBZ villain thing where it looks like he's expending the least amount of energy possible the whole time he's doing anything.
Yeah, right.
Which, I don't know. Those shoulder pads he's wearing are pretty dang big, too.
Yeah, seriously. It's like he's been training with the weighted outfit for so long.
Yeah, he should have shrugged that off like Piccolo would have, right? Just taking it off, something like that. I was going to say, when Tetsu, unsheathes Shredder's shoulder blades, when he gives his big speech to everybody before Danny says, I know where the turtles are.
Yeah.
How Tetsu has to, work his cape, over the little things. So it takes way longer than it should.
Way longer.
And I'm like, you can see the concentration on his face. He's like, oh, I've already screwed this take up 10 times. I got to get it right this time.
Yeah.
I swear I'll get it. I promise. I swear.
I can do it.
Oh boy. But we get Casey, Danny, and Splinter along with the newly converted troubled teens. They all show up, but Splinter sneaks away.
Yep. Where'd Splinter go?
Yeah, where did Splinter go? The Turtles finally attack as a group, but Shredder handles them. He does take a slice out of Leo, though, and Leo takes a slice out of him.
Yep.
No blood, though.
No blood.
There should have been some blood.
A little
bit of blood. Just a little bit of blood. Even if it was they made it look like black or green.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be red. They're
100%.
turtles. I mean, they have red blood, but
still.
Could have just made it something
Everything else is unbelievable. Just give them green blood.
There you go, green blood. That would have made him a Vulcan, like Spock. Vulcans have green blood. Just stupid fact, I guess. I'll just cut that part out of the podcast when I edit it.
Nah.
Leo does. Oh wait, Casey is down on the street level taking care of the leftovers, which is kind of funny because he gets pretty excited about that. He's like, "Ooh, leftovers!"
Yeah.
Backs that garbage truck right up into those dudes calling up the ladder, and they fall off and run away.
Yeah.
I guess that was taking care of the leftovers. Leftovers taken care of. Thanks, Casey. Leo attacks and gets knocked down to the ground by Shredder with his spear at his throat, and the Turtles have no choice but to throw their weapons away. Otherwise, he's going to die. Otherwise, so I said that wrong. It was Donatello, right, that charged him, or was it Leo that charged him?
I think it's. Now I'm confused.
Is it Leo? I'm pretty sure it's
Leo
Leo because he's the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have to save Leo's life by tossing their stuff to the side.
Right.
It was a trick. Shredder was going to kill the Turtles, and now they're weaponless. So, like, duh, right?
Yeah.
It was a trick.
It is a trick.
It is a trick. It's a trick. It's a trap. But Splinter's there on the roof. How did he make it up there? He's a little bit more nimble than he lets on, I guess.
yeah, he is a rat. So.
He is a rat. He probably just climbed up the side of the building.
Yeah.
He's there to save the day, and Shredder is Oroku Saki. That's what we find out for sure at that point. We should have figured that out.
Right.
But
we definitely fed you the foreshadowing of that.
Maybe as a 6, 7, 8-year-old, I would have been like, oh, mind blown. Blinded with the rage over his disfiguring scar from a rat, he just straight up charges Splinter because he was responsible for all that stuff. Yeah. Using the nunchuck that was hanging over the ladder. Good job, Mikey, for tossing that. So it does that complete happenstance. Like, he like Splinter like traps it, like pinches the spear, right?
Yeah.
And instead of letting go of the spear and just like standing next to Splinter, Shredder holds onto the spear and goes over the edge, and he's just inches from death at this point, right?
100% looks like he pole vaults over that thing. Just
right? Didn't that the tops of those buildings really reminded me a lot of the buildings that were used in Batman Returns, right?
Oh, definitely.
Didn't they look like almost like I was like, are these the same set pieces?
Seriously.
The only way. I don't think so because of it being filmed in North Carolina.
Yeah.
But still, like it looked so similar.
Yeah.
Like. This movie couldn't have been made without Batman 89.
No.
Because it's like, hey, we're going to do the Batman 89 thing, but with Ninja Turtles.
Is that cool?
Is that cool? Because that's what we're going to do. It's really,
I think it'll work.
It worked. Shredder, hanging on the edge, has very little chance of surviving this, I would say.
Yes.
Very little. Death comes for us all, but when you die, it will be without honor.
Without honor.
In a last-ditch attempt, Shredder tosses a dagger at Splinter, and obviously Splinter catches it, but that makes him let go of the nunchuck, and Shredder falls to his death. Do you think he was dead on impact? Or do you think he died after Casey Jones crushed him? Because Casey Jones just crushed that dude.
Yeah, I mean, he should have probably been dead on impact.
On impact.
I like the idea to make sure.
Yeah, to make sure. Realistically, that would have been crazy bloody.
Yeah, 100%.
Crazy bloody. I wish it would have been a little bit bloody.
A little bit
Just
bloody.
a little bit bloody.
Kind of like Joker falling from the top and no blood.
Exactly. Casey Jones' line in there is pretty funny. Oops. And he just turns that lever and crushes him. But the police arrive with the news. I should say the police and the news arrive. And Danny gives April back the 20 he stole from her. That means he's good now.
Yeah, he's no longer troubled.
No longer a troubled teen. Good job, Danny. April gets the respect she finally deserves as a reporter. She gets that corner office. She gets to be the highest paid reporter in New York City. It's a victory for women everywhere. Boy. But, the police chief wants some answers from Sam Rockwell. Go ahead, check the East Warehouse. You'll get your answers there. Yeah. There you go. Thanks, Sam.
Okay.
Casey and April, will you shut up and kiss me? I love it when you're pushy. And then the Turtles cheer them on. Yay, great job. Yay. Make out with each other. Yeah. It's awesome. And then they get the, we were awesome. Bitches. Bodacious. Gnarly. Then radical. Totally tubular. Wicked. Hellacious. And then Splinter, of course. I've always liked Cowabunga. And then they all say, Cowabunga. Should we give them our best Cowabunga? Ready? Cowabunga! I made a funny. Roll credits.
Yeah. And I did write down when Wiener Dad, I forget his name.
Charles,
the Wiener Dad. I don't know if you noticed this or if it's just in my head, but he comes up to Danny and says, Danny, are you all right? Are you okay, Danny? Are you okay, Danny? I mean, come on. That's got to be.
Danny, are you okay? Are you
Are you
okay,
okay?
Danny? He's like, no, it's Dan now.
It's Dan now. No
Oh.
Michael Jack anymore.
Oh, Dan. Oh, it's Dan, huh? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a wiener.
I just thought that had to be on purpose.
It's-
Are you all right? Are you okay, Danny?
Oh man! And now that you say that, it seems like it. It certainly seems like it. Final opinions, unless you have anything else.
Final opinions. Thank you, Tim. Because
Yeah,
I'm glad
we
we kind
didn't-
of got to rush to this movie.
We didn't even talk about that. I actually saw Tim today, and he was pestering me about when we're going to do this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him, but he'll get some special pre-release, not footage, but audio. I
Yeah.
guess we'll give him some
For
special.
sure. He said he wants to know that we're going to do games and the 87 show eventually.
Yep.
He loves turtles. So
Yep, for
we
sure.
do too, Tim. So
Yep.
it's all good.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, the movie is amazing. Like I said, it makes you really miss your childhood. It screams 1990. I want some Dominoes. You know, like it's a great movie. For a movie with no blood, it's really good. Like,
Yeah, for a movie with no blood and very little real like gritty violence, it's
Right.
super entertaining.
it works really well.
Yeah, it's at the performances of the martial arts scenes. They're super athletic and it's fun to watch.
And there's like a lot of good story in this too. Like
Surprisingly
Raphael
enough.
has like a really good arc through the whole movie.
Yeah.
And every turtle really plays their part really well. And
They do. Kind of wish we would have gotten some more lines out of a couple of the ancillary cast of Turtles. It seems like it was really dominated by Raphael and Donatello for the
Yeah.
most part. Maybe a little bit of Mikey. Leonardo, I should say. Donatello didn't get a whole lot of lines. And that was
Yeah.
Corey Feldman, right?
Right,
and
right.
it was maybe he got paid by the line because he's
Yeah.
probably the most famous actor to be in the
Probably,
movie. So
yeah.
I don't know, but he didn't get a whole ton of lines. Like you said, he stuck out like a sore thumb though every time he opened his mouth.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely, I really like this movie. Like you said, it's a strong nostalgic punch right to the gut, right to those 1990s
gut.
feels. So it was fun to travel back and think about the times when I watched this movie as a kid. And I think this is one that I saw in the theater. I think it is one that I saw in the theater. It would make sense for me to have gone to this one in the theater at the time. So, if I gave Cable Guy a B+, this is an A-.
For sure.
I feel like this is the rewatchability of this movie is on par with a lot of other comedies that I'll watch. It is funny. It is entertaining.
Yeah.
So.
Even though we rewatch these many times for each homework assignment, this is one that already, as soon as we're done, I'm like, God, I want to watch this.
Yeah,
again.
agreed. And you'll have plenty of time to watch it. Well, I had to buy the Blu-ray, so I have the collection now. So that
Nice.
we're ready to do 2 and 3 eventually. Ready
So
to
it
do
was
2 and 3.
not on Netflix.
It was not on Netflix. It was, where did I find it? It was on HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
So we were wrong on that. Sorry.
Sorry
Sorry about that. If you really wanted to watch it, you would have found it.
Exactly.
So with that out of the way, do we want to talk about the homework assignment?
Well, let's hear it.
All right. We are assigning The Nightmare Before Christmas, which came out October 29th, 1993. The box office was $91.5 million. That's $194.9 million in 2022. Thank you, USInflationCalculator.com.
Thank you.
It was directed by Henry Selick, screenplay by Caroline Thompson, adaptation by Michael McDowell, story by Tim Burton, based on a poem by Tim Burton, produced by Tim Burton. And guess what? We know Tim.
We know Tim.
We love Tim. Tim Burton. I'm kind of sad it's taken us this long to get back to a Tim Burton movie.
I know.
I know in the grand scheme of things, we did six movies based off of Tim Burton work, basically, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be getting back to Tim Burton because I really love Tim Burton.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Denise Denovi is the producer along with Tim Burton, and she has produced 6 movies with Tim Burton, including Batman Returns.
Nice.
Let's talk about the voice cast. We got Jack Skellington. That was Chris Sarandon. Chris Sarandon. That's the speaking voice. And then Danny Elfman, who is the composer,
Yeah.
is also the singing voice of Jack Skellington. Have you seen any pictures of him lately?
No, I haven't.
Google it. He is like cut out of stone and tatted head to toe now.
Nice.
Danny Elfman, like not anything like I remember him looking like from when I would see pictures from years and years ago.
Yeah.
Elfman also voices Beryl and the clown with the tearaway face.
Nice.
And that clown gave me nightmares as a child.
Oh, yeah.
Not going to deny that. Sally is voiced by Catherine O'Hare. O'Hare also voices Shock. And Catherine O'Hare, we should all know who she is.
Oh, yeah.
Second City, Beetlejuice, and of course, Home Alone 1 and 2.
Foreshadowing.
Dr. Finkelstein was William Hickey, which, interestingly enough, is Uncle Lewis from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Nice.
So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm like, oh, all right then. The mayor of Halloween Town is Glenn Shaddix, and he was Otho on Beetlejuice. He's the guy that leads the seance in Beetlejuice.
Nice.
And then Oogie Boogie is Ken Page, and he's famous on Broadway, and he is an original cast member of the original Cats. So
Wow.
that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen Cats. Have you seen Cats?
I have not.
Did you see the movie that came out a few years ago?
I did not.
I don't plan on watching either.
I did
People love
not
it, though. People
think that
absolutely
looked
love it.
good.
No, it did not look good. They had to digitally remove the buttholes of the cats. Apparently, in the original cut, all the actors, because their cat suits are all CGI'd cat suits on them,
Yeah.
they all had BHs. And they had to go back and remove the BHs.
The
from
BHs.
Had to
I love
remove
that.
the BHs. Santa Claus is Ed Ivory, who also provides narration at the beginning of the movie. Locke is Paul Rubens. We know Pee-wee and his touchy selfie.
Oh my god, this is crazy.
Right.
I didn't know that.
And then Zero, Jack's pet ghost, is Frank Welker. I don't know who Frank is.
Me either.
Frank
Sorry,
Frank is a dude that was Zero, so way to go. You can watch this on Disney Plus, or you can rent or buy it on many other services. Once again, The Nightmare Before Christmas is our homework assignment, and is October 29th, 1993. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, I love this movie. It's like most of these that we're doing. I've seen it a lot, probably more than any other one we've done so far, but I'm excited. It's going to be fall right in between Halloween and Christmas. I think it's the perfect time to release.
It really is. We're leaving Halloween behind, and we're coming up quick on Christmas, which is my favorite time of year, right behind Halloween. So,
Do you consider this a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie or both?
I've always considered it more of a Christmas movie because
Right.
of Jack Skellington wanting to be Santa Claus,
Right.
basically. So
It works for both. But
Yes.
yeah, it is more a Christmas movie.
yes. Very excited for this movie. I haven't watched it in years. So I think this is one that I'll be able to introduce to my 5-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Might be a little scary.
A little scary.
But I think I'm going to try to introduce this one to my 5-year-old. I'm going to buy it. I have Disney Plus, but I think I'll buy it to add to the collection.
For sure.
Are we ready?
I think we're ready.
Over to you, Trav.
Let's get into some emails. So our first email comes from Cowabunga, dude. Wants to know if we have a favorite TMNT game from the Nintendo or Super Nintendo era.
I think my favorite is going to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game on the NES. And I'm just going to go default to that because it's the one that I've played the most. It's the one that I've had the most time with. And, you know, it's a very faithful port from the arcade.
Yeah.
And that's impressive for a Nintendo game because you
Yeah.
didn't usually get that.
Right. I like that one a lot too because the difficulty level is there, like
Boy.
with a lot of NES games. But I put Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Also was an arcade game as well. That one's a little easier, so it's more of a you can sit down. Drew and I can sit down and beat the whole game in an hour or so, which is fun. But yeah, both of those are great choices.
Would you say with those arcade style beat 'em ups, especially with the TMNT ones, it's more about getting to the end and not really about how many times you die?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Next one here comes from Donnie Boy 044 says, you've mentioned your favorite turtles are Donatello and Mikey. What puts them over the edge to be your favorite turtles?
So for me, it's always between Donatello and Leonardo. Those are usually the ones that I choose from. I think because of Donatello being like a blending of Leo and Raphael, that it's more akin to maybe my own personal personality. May not want to be a leader, but can still fight pretty good type of thing,
Yeah,
you know?
for
Like,
sure.
I don't know. I think that's where I normally get it from. How about you?
So obviously mine is Mikey. I put he's the funniest. I mean,
Yep,
can't
that
really
fits
deny
you.
That.
That fits you well.
He is the most immature. I put
That
down.
fits you well. No, I'm kidding.
And he, if it's possible, he loves pizza the most out of all the turtles,
Yes.
which I think is hilarious.
Yes, he's the one that's always calling for pizzas. He's the one that's always getting the pizzas first. He's the
Right.
one that's coming up with the weird combinations of toppings.
Right.
He loves his pizza.
And I mean, color should have a factor. Blue is my favorite color, but orange is my next favorite color. So that's just kind of how it works.
There you go, right?
And it's funny that you say you were always Donatello or Leonardo, because I was always Michelangelo or Raphael.
That's funny. That's funny. See, that's why our personalities go well together, right?
Yes, definitely. Next one here comes from Slice and Dice. Says, I loved your Shining episode last podcast. Another listener suggested Silence of the Lambs. I can't wait for that one. Are there any other 80s and 90s horror movies that you guys are excited for?
80s and 90s horror. So I wasn't a big 80s and 90s horror guy, but if I would to pick something, we had talked about Hellraiser. That movie would be tough to do on this podcast because of its content.
Yeah.
It's pretty extreme.
Hide your kids.
Yeah, hide your kids. That one might be an explicit rated R episode for sure, because I don't know how we would talk about some of that. Any of the horror flicks, I don't know how we would really talk about any. I wouldn't really consider Natural Born Killers to be a horror flick.
Mhm.
It almost is, but that would be one that I would really like to do. Any of the first three Freddy Krueger movies would be good, especially that first one with Johnny Depp is actually a good movie.
Yeah.
It would be fun to do. Like I said, horror flicks will be kind of tough for this podcast, but we're definitely going to get into them eventually for sure. How about you, Trav?
Well, of course, I am excited for that Silence of the Lambs, but I put Misery.
Oh, that would be fun. I love Stephen King, so I'm down for that one.
Yeah, that one's... Kathy Bates still haunts me to my core because of that movie. But that's just a good movie, and it's another one of those horror movies we can do that isn't as crazy as Hellraiser. There isn't so much blood and guts and gore.
That's
and
a good point.
So I think that one would fit in well until we get a little more used to doing the crazy rated R. I did put Hellraiser on here because I've never seen it, and our buddies at the Triple Falls podcast brought up Hellraiser, so we will definitely try to get to something like that eventually, but it'll take us a little bit to get to the really rated R stuff, I think.
Well, you mentioned Triple Falls. Do we want to take a moment to talk about them?
Maybe we should.
All right, let's take a moment to talk about them. They're a local podcast. Why don't you take it, Trav? You know them a little bit better than I do.
Yeah, so they are a local podcast here in the same city as us. I grew up with the guy who came up with the idea, and from what I can tell outside looking in, they just do their part to help promote other people around the area, whether it's the art scene or startup businesses, or for us, for example, they're going to help promote our podcast on their podcast. So a bunch of cool, chill dudes and really friendly and helping other people get big. They're not selfish.
Yeah, that's Triple Falls Podcast. Go check it out. It's good. It's very entertaining. It's good stuff.
So yeah, by the time this comes out, if you haven't already seen it, you'll have to go, I'm guessing, check out us on the Triple Falls Podcast.
Yeah, and they like to video their podcasts also, so it'll be on YouTube.
Yep, we will be there for people to see. For any of our listeners that have not seen us yet.
I'll come out from the basement. I'll have to cut my fingernails and comb my hair or something, I guess.
Yeah, if I'm being completely candid and honest, I'm pretty nervous to
Agreed.
be recorded on there. I might barf. Yeah, so if you guys want to see if I puke, make sure you check out the Triple Falls Podcast. Just kidding, I won't puke, hopefully.
I was going to say, just don't eat for a couple of days, because that'll end up really good, right?
But yeah, we got one more email here for this podcast, and it comes from Kermit Got No Permit. Says, with Jim Henson's involvement in TMNT, I was wondering if you guys have a favorite Muppet from the Muppet Show.
So, from the Muppet Show specifically?
Specifically, but you can give me another, whatever you were going to say.
Well, I have many favorite Muppets. The Muppets were a very large part of my childhood.
Same here.
Muppet
Babies.
Oh, yes.
Did you watch that too?
Oh yes, the original Muppet Babies. Man, that was
that was around when Tiny Toon Adventures was on.
Yep.
Which I know is one of your favorites.
Yep. But a favorite Muppet for me it's the obvious and easy and cliched answer. It's Kermit the Frog.
Oh, for sure.
It's an absolute favorite. Jim Henson and his comic timing, while he had his hand up that frog's butt for so many years, is great, especially on the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
Kermit is great in the movies, has very little to do with Sesame Street or anything like that. But besides Kermit, a really close second for me is always going to be Beaker and Bunsen. The two of them together. The comedy that they have is always hilarious. I mean, I'm thinking about the Muppet Show right now, and all of these things are coming back to my mind, like Pigs in Space and the two dudes up in the box making fun of everything, and Gonzo exploding at the beginning of the show. Like, man, that show was great. We're gonna do that. We can do that show because it was definitely early '80s, late '70s too, wasn't it? So, we're definitely gonna be doing some Muppet Show. How about you, Trav?
I put Animal or Gonzo.
I like it.
But like you said, there's really no going wrong. There's so many good characters. But yeah, as a kid, I loved whenever Animal was on there drumming away, for sure.
Animal's a really good Muppet, and his staying power has been, you could almost say it's more than Kermit the Frog. You don't see Kermit the Frog in commercials.
True.
You still see Animal in commercials.
Yeah, he's a star.
He is a star.
So that wraps up our emails today, so make sure you email us at overduehomeworkpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Twitter at Overdue Homework and Instagram at Overdue Homework Podcast. And as always, don't forget to tune in to the next exciting episode of the Overdue Homework Podcast.